Welcome to another Q&A. I'm your host, Vaughan, the founder of Ballroom Mastery. It's phenomenal to have you here today. And I have had so many amazing questions. Thank you for being such a great group of people on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. It's great to have you across the platforms. Really, they're just mediums for you and I to get to know each other a bit better, to connect, and ultimately for me to help you get to where you want to go. Now, part of the problem for today's questions that I've received is most people are stuck, and they're stuck on something that I would refer to as not a technical issue with their dancing, but a mindset issue. And as you should know by now, I'm massively big on the mindset. Like the way your psychology operates, the way your mental is operating, reflects in your results in life. How we think is reflected in our actions, it's reflected in our attitude, it's reflected in our perception of life, and then our perception forms our reality, and so therefore our results. And so all we're trying to do at the end of the day is to change our results. It's like, I'm not a very good dancer, so the result is I want to be a good dancer, or I don't know how to get to my next level, which is one of the questions I'm answering today. How do I get to the next level in my dancing? That's a result. How do I go forward in a partnership successfully? That's a result. How do I make more money to dance? That's a result. How do I find time? That's a result, right? All of these reasons are the things we need to find out, discover, and uncover to become the best that we can be. And so coaching is the ability to lead you to that space for yourself. It isn't me telling you what to do. You have to actually lead yourself there, so to speak. But let me put some breadcrumbs down for you along the way. Best practices that I've found, worst practices that I've found, and what works and what doesn't to an extent. But then you've got to have the courage to go for it. So without further ado, here is the question for today. We got two of them actually, and there was lots of them. So this will probably be the last one I do for a while because I'm going to be using Q&A formats for Ballroom Mastery Academy. So if that's something of interest to you, shoot me an email, info@ballroommastery.com, or visit ballroommastery.tv and get on the RSVP list. But I'm going to do a lot of these intensively with the students that run through the academy, because some of the questions require really in-depth answers and a lot of time to go through the explanation, because I like to give value. So I'll work with people one-on-one in there, but I still will come on Facebook and YouTube and do these anyway. So feel free to leave questions and I'll let you know when those are on. So this comes from Rebecca. How do I go from exams to competition? Another lady, Karid, wrote, how to move my dancing to the next level. All right, these are two great questions. Now, do you find these questions pop up in your head from time to time? It's like you started dancing and now you want more from it. I did. I didn't know you could do half of the stuff you could do in dancing. I mean, I did not even think I would be running a studio one day when I first started. I didn't know I'd become a professional dancer. I really didn't. I didn't think I'd even have the ability to do that, to be honest. And that's most people. So here's how I'm going to answer this. It's going to be some tried and true fundamentals of how you should operate in life, but it's also going to be things you've heard before. And I'm going to pre-frame this for you, and I'm going to say, and you may not like this, just because you know it doesn't mean you're doing it. And so that's called praxis. It's an integration of your belief in your actions. And this is where frustration kicks in, because it's like, okay, I know what you're telling me because other people have told me this before. In my heart, I know that's what I should be doing, but I'm not doing it. Haha, that's the disintegration, right? You've got one belief system that's making you act in a way that you don't want to really act, but you can't help it because you can never outact what we call our beliefs, all right? So what we have to do fundamentally, if we want to get to the next level in our dancing, you have to define what next level means for you. Now, the good thing in ballroom dancing is we've got classes of dancing, if you want to look at it this way. We've got social dancing, we have hobby dancing, we have medalist dancing, we have recreational dancing, competition, like low-grade competition. You have amateur dancing on top of that, which is different to low-grade competition. You have pro-am competition, and then you have professionals, right? Then you have world professionals. And on top of that, you've got like all your legends in the sport, the sort of household names. But that 1% up there, most people under here, like the rest of them, like don't know who they are, right? Unless they go to YouTube and they start watching a lot of videos. They don't know who that 1% is. But if you're in dance sport, which is really that low-grade competition, amateur and professional and beyond, you sort of know who's who, right? All the adjudicators live up there. All the top coaches are in there. This is the space. And so then it trickles back down to the mum and dad studios, the competition studios that float around the world. So you have to actually define and decide for yourself, what is the level that you want to go for? right? Within that sort of scope, where is it? Because I know lots of people, 20 years of dancing socially, but you look at the way they dance, there's so much wrong with it. Technique is bad, they're off time, they still can't count cha-cha, right? Why? Because they have predetermined their level. And then they have thought in accordance with that, and they've acted in accordance with it, and they haven't changed their dancing because of that. So here is the starting point for you, Rebecca, Karid, and anybody else who wants to go to the next level. And I said this very strongly to a student on Monday night. I was like, look, when do you become a champion dancer? Write it for me below. I want you to tell me. For those watching on YouTube and Facebook right now, tell me, when do you become a champion? When is it? Is it when you get the trophy? Is it when everybody sees you on YouTube and you have 1 million views? Is it when you win a world championship? Is it when you win a national championship or a state championship? When specifically do you become a champion? Now let's think about it like this. When do you become a millionaire? This is another thing I talk about in my business coaching with clients, people who maybe want to run a studio, people who have an entrepreneurial venture that they're growing or scaling. They'll come in. I worked with a member of parliament in my local town to help him get re-elected. So I found that this decision makes sense, and it's very important to understand, because when do you become that millionaire? Is it when the million's in the bank? Is it when your net worth is $1 million? When is it? And most people get it wrong. Why? Because they will say, oh, well, you're a millionaire when you have $1 million in the bank, or when you have an X amount of assets in the bank. It's like, that is not true. You become the millionaire, you become the champion the moment you decide to be. Now, you're going to have a belief system that's probably not going to agree with that, and that's okay. I don't mind. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. What I'm saying is that is how it operates, because when you make that call, you change the frequency of thinking. You start to act differently. You go, okay, no longer am I a social dancer or a medal dancer. I'm now a competition dancer. Right. How does a competition dancer think? Oh, okay, so they don't just practice every now and then. They practice every day, right? They do more lessons. They do more group classes. They travel to get more knowledge. They study dancing. Right, okay. So if you decide to become the next level, you then change your thinking. And that frequency of thought is sort of elevated. You start to act differently because of that. I know from my own personal experience, the moment I decided to become a champion dancer, the moment I decided I wanted to play at the highest level I could get to, my perspective, I dressed differently, I walked differently, I was more aware of my lifestyle, my diet that would impact my quality of dancing in the studio. So I went from doing 1 hour of dancing a week to 24/7, because in my head, I was now a professional. I was now a representative of Australia. Actually, I didn't even see myself as a professional. I saw myself as a top amateur, right? I was like, I want to compete with those guys. I want to dance like that. I couldn't do it. I was like, I wish I could, but I can't do it right now. I don't have the skills. But the moment I made that decision, I moved into the mental game of that category of dancing, except my body was not reflecting it at all, right? So there's a gap. And this is why most people bomb out and fail in their results in life. It's because just because you can't see it today in the physical world doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's like, when do you become a millionaire? The moment you decide to become one. And then you need to set up strategies to understand how to use money better or earn money better. So that $1 million, when it pops up in the bank, it's not a surprise. It's like, I knew that was there because I already decided on it 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 20 years ago, right? This is how it works. I've had the fortune of interviewing some of the most successful people that you can ever meet. Took the founder of Tap Out. Tap Out's a huge UFC brand in the mixed martial arts ultimate fighting championship arena. I didn't even know who this guy was, right? I just met him. I saw him one day. I actually walked up to him and I said, I said, dude, like, hi, I'm Vaughan. He's like, hi, I'm Dan. I'm like, dude, I'm just going to ask, like, what do you do? Because you look so interesting. He's tattooed, muscly, like black t-shirt. He looks nothing like me, you know, like I'm manicured. I've got my freaking foundation on. Like, I dance, you know. And I'm like, I have to know your story, man. Like, just something's telling me I've got to know your story. And he said, cool, let's go to lunch. So I went to lunch with him, and then it turns out that he created this company called Tap Out when he was like broke. He sold it for $500 million, right? Okay, so the moment he became a millionaire was not the moment he sold $500 million. That was the physical result of the decision he made in the past, showing up in the present. And so it was the moment he decided to start that company. And then he acted in accordance with how do I grow it? How do I make it faster? What do I have to do? Where do I need to go? You see, that's the decision. He wasn't sitting around on the edge going, should I do it? I don't know if I'm confident enough. I don't have the skills to do it. Nobody does. Hear what I'm telling you. You don't have the skills. You don't have anything to say that you can pre-qualify to do competition. Nothing tells you that. You just got to decide and go. That's it. You might, now, here's the problem when I say that to people. You'll go, but Vaughan, you don't know me. I don't have time. I don't have money. There's no studio in my town. I'm like, excuses, all right? Here's some tough love. Get rid of your excuses and you will now make way for your potential to unfold. You have to get rid of the beliefs that you don't have the resources around you. Okay, so it might be true you don't have a studio in your town. It might be true you might have a studio 600 kilometers away. So what? Okay, move. Start your own studio. Bring teachers into your town. There's two things you can think of. Seek it out or start it up. Say with me now. Seek it up or start it up. In my own personal dancing, when I first began my career in the dancing world, we had worked so hard to get to a point, so much sacrifice had gone in the first few years that we were gifted a $14,000 scholarship. I'm going to tell you from the beginning, there was no way I thought I was ever going to get this. I've seen it awarded to the past. The people that got this were the top dancers in Australia. I was like, man, I don't play at that level. I only dreamed I could ever move or dance like these people, right? And so the thing was, when I saw who got that as a caliber and we got this gift, I went, wow, we're on the right track. What did I do with that money? Here's what will blow your face off. Are you ready? $14,000. I booked 2 weeks of lessons in England from Australia, so a 24-hour flight, never been to England, didn't know any coaches, reached out to them via email, and I'm like, I need to book some lessons. I spent $8,000 on lessons within a 10-day period. $8,000, okay? Now, we didn't see the Big Ben. We didn't see the Tower of London. I saw nothing of London. We were in a plane, a train, a studio, a bus, an apartment, back to the bus, back to the studio. That was it for 10 days. It like wiped us out completely. But the experience was incredible. Since then, we would do that again. We would save our money, we'd fly back to England and have 2 weeks of lessons and see nothing of England, and then we'd fly back home. So when somebody says to me, my studio is 300 kilometers away, I don't care. When somebody says to me, oh, I have to get up earlier to train in the morning, I don't care. Like when somebody says to me, like, I want to be better, except I don't have the money, it's like, I don't care. The reason I don't care is because you're giving yourself excuses as to why you can't do it. When you change your beliefs about that, you will change the results 100% of the time. You will find a way. You will. I can guarantee it. Why? Because I've done it many times. I lived in a small town with one studio that could get me to where I wanted to go. I tapped into it. I lent into it. And then I did everything in that studio I could. 5-6 days a week. I used to put on events myself to help me dance better. I would bring people in from Sydney who were better known in the dance world so I could learn something, right? I would make money by putting on events because I had no money to dance. And then I would learn to teach a little bit of dance, like wedding couples, so I could earn some more money to dance. I would work as a dishwasher in a restaurant to earn money to dance, right? Like I sacrificed a lot. So you have to be willing to let go of your excuses, and then you'll find a will. And when you find a will, you'll find a way. And every time that happens, now the question comes back to all of you listening. At what point do you reach the next level in your dancing? At what point do you become that champion? The moment you decide. Then when you make that decision, you have to decide and reinforce it every single day, and you reinforce it every single day by acting in accordance with that decision. And that is what I said before. That is called praxis, belief and action integrated. And then when those two happen, you start to move in the direction of where you want to go. So the next thing you need is a goal. Where do you want to be 12 months from now? So it's like, good, I want to be next level. I've decided what next level is. Wonderful. In 12 months from today, especially going into the end of the year, we get a bit of time to think, where do you want to be in 12 months from now? Believe me, things can change. In the last year, I've accredited 3 teachers in my studio. I'm very proud of them. They've done the work. None of them thought they would be teachers a couple of years ago, right? None of them. They came in just wanting to learn a couple of dance lessons, and now they're doing competition. They're teaching couples, they're teaching social people, they're doing medals with students, they're running classes. They didn't think that could happen a couple of years ago. And so what happens is you don't know what's possible till you make that decision. You got to think 12 months from now, where specifically do I want to be? Next level in your medals, great. First competition done, awesome. Maybe you're doing competition. I want to win a state title, awesome. Because when you know that answer, you're going to understand the strategy that has to change. Because the biggest disconnect I find for the students that I work with is they come in and they say, Vaughan, I want to be beautiful in my dancing. Oh, I've watched YouTube. I want to dance like that. I'm like, no problem. I'm going to tell you what that person has done to be able to do that sort of dancing. They probably started at the age of 7 and they've danced every single day for 20 years. So let's make sure we line up what you're willing to do, because to get to that level, that's what they've done, right? So it's a little unfair to say, I'm just going to do that, because you're robbing them of their accomplishment. You haven't paid the price. You haven't paid your dues in advance. So let's just make sure we're lining up what you really want, because it's going to take a lot of time to get that good. Now, it does not mean you can't do it. It's just like you can't rob yourself of your own accomplishment either by thinking in 12 months, I'm going to look like Yulia or Ricardo. It's like, oh my God, no, it's not how it works. It's like, don't be unfair to them and don't be unfair to yourself. So where is that in 12 months for you? What's it going to look like? Work backwards from that and make a strategy that makes sense in accordance with it. But do not give me a time and money excuse, because you have 24 hours a day like me. And if you don't have the money, well, guess what? You have the money. I'll tell you why. You ready? Are you ready for this? You have an iPhone, don't you? Okay. You didn't have the money for the iPhone, yet you bought one. Because when the decision is made, you find a way every time. Now, if you really were committed to what you wanted to do, you would sell your assets to dance more. I've done this twice. We have sold everything to clear our debt so we could keep going forward. We sold our cars, we quit our jobs, we moved. That's because what I wanted, the commitment level, was required to give up everything to make way for the lifestyle I wanted in dancing, to be able to travel the world, to make money from dancing, to be able to learn from the best, to be able to go overseas, to compete on a world stage. That's what's required. If you're not willing to do that, change your goal, right? No problem. But don't look at YouTube and don't look at other people who have sacrificed everything and say, well, I'm not like that in 12 months. Oh, and then you complain about not having time and not having money. It's like, come on, like really? You have no idea the pain those guys have endured, you know? Like, it's crazy. So the point is, let's make sure in the next 12 months you set a goal that's really big, okay? But then you've got to match your actions and your strategy to that goal being achieved. So one quick example of that is that for you, Rebecca, if you want to get on the floor, you want to go from medalist to competition, you decide to do it. And then you say, I'm going to be on the floor in the next 6 months. That's my goal. In the next 6 months, I'm going to do a competition. I will find a studio. I will find someone to do it with. I will make that a goal and a reality. Now, I am going to then do this amount of practice per week. I'm going to do this many lessons per week. I'm going to get my costumes organized. I'm going to book my accommodation in advance. That's a strategy, okay? Now it's real and tangible. This is how you move from a theory of what you want to be and turn it into a fact. And this works for all people everywhere across the world, regardless of where you are. I'm going to give you one more example of why your excuses are holding you back in terms of anything you want to do, especially when it comes to I don't have a partner, I don't have a studio. I know people that have had a partnership in another country. So their partner lived in Lithuania, they lived in England. They had to travel once a month, they would do lessons in Lithuania, once a month then in England. That was the level of commitment required. So if you don't have a partner, go find one, right? Another one with learning to dance. You don't have teachers. Well, Slavik Kirkilevy is one of the world's most legendary dancers, okay? Has an attitude that needs a lot of work, but like a phenomenal dancer. No one can take that away from him. Do you know how he started learning to dance? Video, the ye old VHS. He started copying it. He was a ballet dancer, started watching these videos way prior to YouTube. This is like in 1997 or early 90s. And then, you know, from there, he developed his skill. He started getting his body like in that position. He modeled it just straight off the videos. Now you have YouTube, man. Like you've got Ballroom Mastery, you've got all these other fantastic channels. Copy them, learn from them. Then what he did is he went to London and he started getting his lessons. Can you imagine that? Right? So don't give me your excuses. Give me your reasons why you want to do it. Make the decision, and I promise you, the universe will reward you and bring in all the opportunities you need. But you've got to believe it can happen, and you have to be very committed to the decision you make. All right? Now, this is Vaughan. I want to thank you for tuning in. Awesome to have you here, and I appreciate you listening to my story. Wonderful to have you. Thank you, Craig. We do only live once. Oh, yeah, that's right. So I like the saying that you only live once. If you do it right, once is enough. Anyway, listen, thank you very much, and I will see you in the